This podcast is part of the It Was a Thing on TV podcast network.
An anthology on the bad, the short-lived, and forgotten shows and events in television history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
Time is up. You ran into trouble.
Episode 599, submission 2623. The Little Rascals Christmas Special. The Little Rascals Christmas Special was a animated Christmas special that aired on the NBC television network on December 3rd, 1979. Well, in 1922, Hal Roach created a series of short subjects for theaters known as the Our Gang series, which lasted for 22 years and had over 200 episodes, and then was retired in 1944 after Hal Roach sold the series to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1938. Now, Hal Roach still had the rights to the Our Gang shorts he produced prior to 1938. So, since he couldn't legally use the Our Gang name, since he technically sold it to MGM, he repackaged them into a series of syndicated episodes for television through King World Productions called The Little Rascals, and they became a hit for various independent stations starting in the 1950s, going through the 70s and probably to the mid 80s at least. And guys, if it wasn't for the Little Rascals, I don't think we have King World. And if we didn't have King World, we probably don't have Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune in syndication.
We also don't have Eddie Murphy going, I'm the Baba of the Bill.
We also don't have the classic Saturday Night Live skit where Eddie Murphy as Buckwheat gets shot. Mike, you remember that, right?
Honestly, I don't.
You don't remember the Saturday Night Live skit where Buckwheat got shot?
The Eddie Murphy era of Saturday Night Live really is a weak spot in terms of my SNL fandom.
Oh, well. I assure you it was funny. In 1979, NBC decided, you know what the kids really need? They need animated Little Rascals. That's what the kids need. And who better to give you an animated Little Rascals special on NBC in 1979 than Hanna-Barbera?
Well, it wasn't really Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, right, because Hanna-Barbera did the Little Rascals later.
Yes, they did the Little Rascals later for ABC. For NBC, they enlisted Fred Wolf and Charles Swenson of the fledgling animation studio Murakami Wolf Swenson, known nowadays as the first producer of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. So they get Charles Swenson, Fred Wolf to direct, Romeo Mueller to write, who's best known for writing pretty much the big four Rankin Bass holiday spots. You know the ones.
So what, Rudolph, Frosty, Santa Claus is coming to town,
And the little drummer boy.
Oh, the little drummer boy. How could I forget?
So they got him to write a treatment of the Little Rascals, and they put it on for half an hour on NBC in 1979. The plot, it's basically the gift of the Magi told through the lens of the Little Rascals.
Okay, so our Little Rascals, we have basically the cast that was in the Little Rascals from, I'd say, about 36 to 40 sans Buckwheat. Because for some reason, we have Spanky, Alfalfa, Darla, and Porky, but with Stymie.
Oh, yeah. The dude with the hat.
Yeah, the dude with the hat. But Stymie was, I think, he was in the Little Rascals from till I think, I want to say 31 to 35, and then he essentially got replaced with Buckwheat. So I don't know.
I couldn't tell you the order of who left and who came, but they got Stymie, they didn't get Buckwheat. But somehow they managed to fit Petey the puppy in there.
Oh, Pete the pup. Because when you think Little Rascals, you think Pete. You think of Pete and you think of his ring around his eye.
So, just like in the Little Rascals shorts, we have our gang getting into all sorts of shenanigans, finding a way to screw it up, and them finding a way to fix said screw up. It's actually a pretty riveting watch, this 30 minutes of animation.
I would think like this would serve as a pilot for a Little Rascals cartoon that never came to be in this era.
But let's talk about who they got to play the Little Rascals. Now, most of the cast are unknown. If we come across a known entity, we will certainly build up the credits. But you go to IMDb, you're going to see the gray circle of anonymity. Playing Spanky, Philip Tanzini, who actually went on to play Jeremy Hewitt Logan on General Hospital, believe it or not.
Okay.
3 years, 192 episodes. Playing Alfalfa, Jim Gatherum. Didn't do much series work after this, didn't do much series work before. Playing Darla, who I didn't even know was in the gang proper, but she was just, there.
You think just because they had a group called the He-Man Woman Haters Club that they wouldn't allow Darla in the group?
As a matter of fact, I do. But playing Darla, Randy Kiger, who is in 52 episodes of the English dub of Heidi, Girl of the Alps.
Is that based on the famous Heidi?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you think of Heidi, you think of guys. You think of freaking Joe Namath and Jets Raiders game getting preempted by that.
But she would also be starring in all 6 episodes of The Mackenzies of Paradise Cove, which stars Clu Gallagher as a lovable sandrake who adopts a whole lot of siblings.
What?
Clu Gallagher as a lovable curmudgeon who adopts 5 siblings.
So siblings. He doesn't adopt children. He just adopts siblings.
No, the siblings are children.
Oh, they're children. That would have been
Yes.
so weird if he adopted like siblings. It's like, oh, I wish I had a brother and sister. Oh, there's 5 of them. Now I can adopt my own sibling.
Playing Stymie, Al Fan, best known as a character by the name of It's 4 Minutes Too Slow from The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. Randy Kiger's brother, Robbie Kiger, plays Porky. He's best known as Josh Fox on Crazy Like a Fox.
The show that had, was it Mike that was on Crazy Like a Fox? Oh, Jack Warden.
Jack Warden. Well, also, clarification, since there's 3 Josh Foxes on Crazy Like a Fox, he plays Josh Fox III, Jack Warden's grandson.
So, John Rubinstein's son, then.
Yep. Now we do have 2 cameos from Little Rascals doing voiceovers in this. Doing the voice of Spanky and Porky's mom is Darla Hood, the original Darla. And this was the last thing she did before passing earlier that year in 1979. Also playing Mr. Clarger the Butcher is Matthew Beard, who played Stymie in the Little Rascals. So they actually got the original Darla and they got the original Stymie for this special. That's kind of good. Now, Chico, do we have anyone else notable in the cast?
Yes, Uncle Hominy is played by Hal Smith, best known as Otis Campbell on The Andy Griffith Show.
Now, I should note Uncle Hominy is Alfalfa's uncle.
And also, when we talk about Otis from the Andy Griffith Show, that's Otis the drunk.
Oh, yeah. I bet he's not as stereotyped as a drunk as Mr. Whipple. Now, you have to go way back into the archive. Let me just explain this. The guy who played Mr. Whipple, in case for you new listeners who don't know what we're talking about. The guy who played Mr. Whipple, we found out while going through his IMDb page, played a lot of drunks.
Talking about Dick Wilson. And yes, he was stereotyped quite frequently as a drunk, or sometimes a bartender. Something to do with alcohol. But there are two other names besides who you guys have mentioned. First, playing just Angry Man. No character given, just Angry Man, is Cliff Norton, and we've talked about him a number of times in the past. He voiced Huddles on Where's Huddles. Do you guys not share the same joy that I do that he voiced the lead character in the 1970s cartoon Where's Huddles?
No.
Ha ha ha. Oh, then you're going to like the other name even more. Voicing a sales clerk, again, no character name, is Frank Nelson. If you remember on, like, the Lucy show, I Love Lucy, stuff like that, the guy that would go, yes! That's him.
Yes.
Now, hold on a second. I have a notable name here. Voicing the role of Bully is Ike Eisenman. He played Scotty's nephew in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Still hard at work to this day as a prolific voice actor. And he had a cameo in Race to Witch Mountain, the 2009 reboot.
Because he was in the original Race to Witch Mountain.
And the 2 sequels.
Okay, now, Chico, let's go into the plot of this animated Christmas special.
Right. Because we said before, this is basically a goof on Gift of the Magi. It doesn't work as well as a goof on It's a Wonderful Life around Christmas, but it still works. You see, Spanky and Porky, their mother is a single mother during the Depression. And of course, when you are a single mother in the Depression, money is really, really tight. I mean, they are scratching and surviving. And the side effect is they don't know if they're going to have enough money to have like a really good Christmas as far as, presents are concerned. Spanky and Porky, they managed to overhear their mother talk about the blue comet. She's thinking about a vacuum, and she's on the phone while Spanky and Porky are listening. And Spanky and Porky think they're talking about a blue comet train, which is actually a real thing that ran from 1929 to 1941 between New York and Atlantic City. They're thinking a model train. She's talking about a vacuum. She doesn't want to bring herself to disappoint Spanky and Porky. So she buckles down and says, you know what? You're right. I'm giving you a model train set.
Okay, so how much would a model train set cost in the late 1930s?
Let's take a look.
That was pretty good technology back then.
Oh, it was.
But also, how expansive of a train set are we talking about? I'm sure if you're talking about just a little train set to go around the Christmas tree, probably not that expensive, but if you had more elaborate ones, I'm sure they were pricey.
Yeah, a Lionel Blue Comet train set cost in the 1930s around $70.
What would the cost be of that today in 2025?
That would be just shy of $1,400.
Oof. That's like 5 PS5s right there.
Where are you getting 5 PS5s for $1,400? That's more like 3 PS5s.
5 PS5s, really?
Okay, how about like what? 3 Nintendo Switch 2s?
Doable. Do you know where she gets the money to get the blue comet train? She sells her favorite coat to a Chinese laundry.
Oh no.
Well, that's not racist.
No, it's literally called a Chinese laundry.
No, but I
Okay.
mean, that's literally like a racist stereotype because, Chinese laundries.
But she's able to get the train, and it is a beauty. It is an absolute beauty. But there is a problem.
Oh, what's the problem with the train?
Oh, the train's fine. That's not the problem. Mom comes down with the cold or flu or some sort of upper respiratory concern because she's stuck in bed while the kids give her soup and wait on her hands and foot. They have to wonder why she doesn't just use her coat. Turns out they found out she sold her coat. She sold her coat to buy the train. So now the gang has to scrounge up enough money to go back and buy the coat.
Well, how are they going to get the money to buy the coats? They're kids. How are they going to raise this money? It's not like they can go on GoFundMe and raise the money to buy her coat back.
The gang springs to action. Plan after plan after plan. We're talking about asking a sidewalk Santa for help. We're talking about raking leaves, raking fall leaves. We're talking about all of this stuff where all sorts of insanity ensues, and next thing you know, they are really close to getting the money, but something always happens to screw it up.
Oh, what happens to screw it up? I mean, this is the Little Rascals, so some hilarity is going to ensue.
Yeah, all of the stuff that they cleaned up, they made it worse.
Oh no, how'd they make it worse?
Well, it goes back to sort of a feather cleanup, and they end up throwing feathers in the air and dancing in it. Not only that, the guy that they were cleaning up, they broke his doorbell.
Oh no. And I bet you in the 1930s, doorbells were like a fascinating new technology.
I'm on it. How much for a doorbell in 1930? A standard doorbell in 1930 was around $5.
Oh, that was the equivalent of like $50 in 1930.
Well, 100, because if you remember, you talked about the train that cost $70 was 1,400 nowadays in 2025 dollars. So that's 20 times more. So 20 times 5 is 100.
So we can't really come up with any of the money because the kids find some way to screw it all up. And what's even worse, two neighborhood bullies decide to steal the train set. So they have no coat, they have no money, they have no train set. This is about as low as it could possibly be. But all of a sudden, the sidewalk Santa turns out he's been following the kid's plight for a long time and then gets a new coat for Mom.
What? How did this Santa get a new coat for Mom?
Turns out, when you're a sidewalk Santa in the Great Depression, people will give you money.
Oh, that is true.
Oh, by the way, something we didn't mention in the cast, playing the role of Santa is Jack Somack. Not known for series work, but perhaps one of the greatest commercial lines of all time. Mamma mia! That's a spicy meatball!
The Alka-Seltzer guy played
Yes.
Santa?
Yes.
Wow. That is incredible. Mike, how do you react to that? The Alka-Seltzer guy did a voice in this Christmas special.
That's a one spicy meatball.
So they failed in lawn care, they failed in cooking, they failed in home improvement, they pretty much failed everything they tried.
Of course, this is the Little Rascals. They're kids. They don't know anything.
No, they really don't. But here's the thing. They know adults, and adults know. And Santa, he may be a right jolly old elf, but he knows how to take care of the naughty people on his list. He makes those bullies give the train back. So now, Mom has a coat, the kids have a train, nobody has a vacuum. Merry Christmas.
And that's the special.
Yep, pretty much. It did initially air on NBC, but it was cycled into television syndication to air at around this time every year. Most recently, it aired on ABC Family, but later became Freeform. And the last time it aired, as you are listening, would be Sunday at about 12:30 on MeTV. It did air on MeTV Tunes before that, though.
Yeah, around Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
Now, I did check TV Tango. Unfortunately, I don't have anything NBC aired this night. But I do have what CBS and ABC aired if you want me to share that with you. Okay, at 8 o'clock on CBS, we have The White Shadow. At 9, we got MASH. At 9:30, we have WKRP. And at 10 o'clock, part one of a two-part special of Lou Grant. Then on ABC at around 8, we got 240 Robert. At 9, we got Angie. And I guess around 9:30, we have a late start for Monday Night Football this night, which was the Raiders against the Saints. I'm guessing this was played at Oakland, hence the late 9:30 start. I'm going to check Football Reference, so give me 1 second. No, actually, this was at the Superdome. So, okay. At a 9 o'clock start. And let me just see if anybody. Oh, Ken Stabler had 4 touchdowns in this game. And Archie Manning had 2 touchdowns for the Saints. All right. But yeah, that's the special. Later on in the 80s, of course, Hanna-Barbera would produce a Little Rascals animated series on ABC.
Yeah. But, that's another story for another time. That Little Rascals show shared actual show space with Pac-Man, Richie Rich, and the Monchichis?
Oh, the Monchichis. Were they like the 1980s version of Labubu?
Went...
I'm sorry, that hit a vein with me. That's great, Greg.
We went over this. The Labubu is basically Monchichis with issues. They're Monchichis who have seen some shit.
But you know what? I do appreciate the Little Rascals and Richie Rich. Those are like 2 things that I think would go right together.
Oh, totally.
Greg, were you asking what was on NBC that night?
Yes.
I can tell you. You did mention that the Little Rascals special was at 8:30. At 8 p.m. was the Berenstain Bears Christmas tree.
Now, hold on. I need to mention.
Okay.
You mentioned the Berenstain Bears. Now, of course, I come from the Berenstain Bears universe. So saying the Berenstain Bears is just weird to me.
Regardless of how you pronounce their name, This is actually their first TV special.
Yes, Mike, this is their first TV special.
Then at 8:30, you had the Little Rascals special that we talked about this episode. At 9, there is a movie, Friendship, Secrets, and Lies.
You know what secret in your friendship is a lie if you watch this? That this TV movie is great.
Friendship, Secrets, and Lies. 6 former sorority sisters are suspected of murder when a baby skeleton is found in the ruins of the sorority house.
Oh my God, that sounds so dark. They aired this right after the Little Rascals Christmas special.
I concur with you. This is like the exact opposite of what should be airing right after 2 Christmas specials, right after the Bears, however you pronounce their names, and the Little Rascal special. This is not something that really should be after that stuff.
Oh, hold on. Chico, what do you have to say?
This reads like The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives meets a really macabre version of The Traitors.
So, Greg, you want to know who was in this movie?
Yes.
Sit back. There are names. Catherine Damon from Soap, Shelley Fabaret, Tina Louise, Paula Prentice, Stella Stevens, Loretta Swit, Kyle Richards.
Wow.
Speaking of the devil.
Now you just had me Mike and Paul Apprentice. I'm sold.
I had myself sold at Catherine Damon. That's just the Soap fan in me speaking.
I'm sorry, Kyle Richards. Where's Pudge? Smudge.
Pudge
I'm
is
sorry,
the cat.
Kyle. I know.
I thought Pudge is the cat from Bowling Green. It's like,
I know. I had to think about that. I was like, let me do this again. You're talking
no,
about.
we can hold on. We can just keep this as is. I'm not editing this.
Whatever.
But I would like to see the Richard sisters for Pudge the cat. I do want to see that.
When Pudge met Smudge. But you know what? This wasn't the end of the legacy of this special because they reused clips and cells of this special to cut 156 30-second public service announcements with the voices of the Rascals. Some of the ones I was able to find on our friend YouTube were "Don't insist others agree with you" and "Rhyming riddles."
Cool. Well, that's the Little Rascals Christmas special. And in 1979, to kill some time on NBC, we got this thing on TV.
You can find us at our website, itwasthathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was a Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was a Thing on TV. You can find us on any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time. In case you don't know, the next episode we're going to do is episode 600. It's a landmark occasion for a couple of reasons. First, you know when we do any multiple of 50 just about, it's going to be a big show. We're not going to be doing Musical Chairs Revisited this episode. We're not going to be doing Enos. We're not going to be doing some really crappy show that's not crappy because, it sucked. It was crappy because it lasted a short period of time. Oh no, we are saving a crappy show for number 600. I'm not even going to say anything else about that. It's just one of the worst spin-offs of all time. Again, not going to give you any other hints. But also, another reason why number 600 is big around here, Greg, it will be exactly 300 episodes since episode 300, which is the first time you mentioned that you love wings.
Of course, Mike, Because if you go back prior to episode 300, you'll not find one reference where I said that I loved wings. You'll never find it. It was the first time ever on this podcast that I love wings. And now we're celebrating 300 episodes since episode 300, where for the first time ever on this podcast, I made the big announcement that I love wings.
Greg, I have a challenge for you. Can you somehow work that into the next episode, where it's been 300 episodes since we talked about wings? It's going to be a challenge. I'm sure there's not many connections between wings and this TV show, but I'm going to throw down the challenge, the gauntlet to Greg. Good luck with that, Greg.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that indeed. Well, next week, we'll be here with episode 600 when we'll celebrate a very, very spectacular thing on TV. Until then, I'm Greg. That was Mike. And that was Chico. And we'll see you back here with episode 600 next week. Roar!
Buckwheat Dead, America Wins. Brought to you by Mutual Life, because you could die tomorrow.
Good evening, I'm Ted Koppel. Surely everyone knows by now that buckwheat is dead. But for those of you who have not seen the videotape of buckwheat being shot, let's take a look.
I love you. I love you. Hey, Mr. Wheat. Yeah.
Buckwheat was buried today and the entire world mourned. World leaders gathered to offer a final tribute. We now join millions of mourners around the world in observing a moment of silence.
This moment of silence is brought to you by Mutual Life, because you could die tomorrow.
Police have now identified Buckwheat's assailant. He is this man, 27-year-old John David Stutz, described by those who know him as a loner. We understand that Stutz is now being taken to criminal court for arraignment. Let's go there live.
Oh, it's good to see you all. Hi, I killed Buckwheat. So I'm a person for the American public. When you dream, do you dream in color or black and white? Because I dream in black and white. And last evening, I had a dream about lime jello. I didn't know what flavor it was because it was gray. Then I tasted it, and I realized it was lime. It's definitely lime.
Mr. Stutz, did you kill Buckwheat?
Sure.
You realize you made a death penalty.
I didn't care, sir.
Why'd you kill him, Mr. Stutz?
Well, I had to kill him. My dog told me it was the Antichrist.
What's his name, Mr. Stutz?
His name is Petey. He's a Dalmatian.
A Dalmatian?
I named him.
Dalmatian?
I named him after our gang follies. His name is Petey.